Cool. So far, you're number one.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Let me just invite a few more people.
You're back here in the cave.
I am back here in the cave. And see on this tiny screen, I'm just going to increase the size. My extended circles, since I can't invite the public. That's the thing I forgot from last time. All right. So Matthew's here, and we've got one or two others. All right. Folks are, Leon's here.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Hi. Okay, so we're kind of just getting here. Let's see, Matthew, you're on screen, so might as well start with you. You had a question, or?
Yeah. What my question was is, in terms of, I'm most familiar with the review platform, but in terms of incorporating the, and this might show where I'm lacking, but in terms of incorporating the whatever is required from a hardware standpoint in future TV platforms, what's required from a manufacturer standpoint, from a chip, and how will that be offered to manufacturers down the road as they manufacture their TVs?
Okay, so we need at least decent video DHCP or support, at least one HDCP, HDMI in, HDCP support, I should say. It's easy to swap because swapping gives you something useful. Let's see, a certain amount of flash, certain amount of, a decent processor. I can't give you specific specs. We have published we have specs that we give manufacturers.
Okay.
If you're looking to build a TV, happy to take an email and get you to those folks.
Well, we're a solution provider for television solutions in healthcare.
Okay.
And we're near and dear to a television manufacturer that's beginning to build whatever it is, whatever the specs are that you require. But I'm not as familiar with them, so I just want to understand from an ongoing standpoint that capability of building it into, whoever wants to, build in and meet the specs, that's going to be open and available as long as they meet the minimum requirements.
That's my understanding.
I think what we can say is that we're working on a similar compatibility document, similar to what we have on phones, and we haven't published it yet, but we're working on this internally. And as Les said, if those guys contact us, they can work with our partner team. And I think the biggest requirement, other than basically, what Les mentioned, video in, video out, is
two buffers.
Yeah, I think
video buffers.
Full QWERTY keyboard is a pretty hard requirement.
D-pad.
The D-pad is not likely to go away. There will also be some form of a pointing device. So right now in the Logitech you have the trackpad. On the Sony you have an optical joystick. So something like this will be available. Other than that, for example, we really discourage people to use any native code, as tempting as it might be. If you stay within the confines of the Dalvik virtual machine and the official Android APIs, your app should be pretty future-proof and forward-compatible.
Right, but he was asking what the manufacturer needs.
Yeah.
Manufacturers can do native code.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. Um,
I mean, one
we'll publish it at some point, the document publicly, and we'll see if we can't get that this quarter.
So one of the other possible answers to this question for manufacturer is Google TV is really not too different from just running basically ice cream sandwich on custom hardware. And so we expect that some manufacturers will basically just take open source Android and just build a large screen Android device. So that might be another alternative.
Yeah, so to get our apps, there are some requirements.
Yeah.
And to be able to display television requires like DHCP protection.
Yeah.
So with that being said, then how does that change the requirement for the full QWERTY keyboard and the D-pad, for example? If you look at a device that might ultimately be entirely touchscreen.
Okay. Well, for a touchscreen device, we're not talking about that right now. We are talking about navigation issues. Google TV works with touchscreens. I mean, if you have a touchscreen device, pretty much everything will work because it's Android.
Sure.
As far as the formal requirements, I'll try to get formal requirements this quarter. That's probably the best I can do.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I can tell you D-pad for sure is in it.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
Well, let's go to Leon. Hello.
Hi. So I've run into a couple of issues. The first one is if I wanted to figure out the MDNS name of the device, I haven't been able to figure out how to get that other than remotely through the broadcast message. So if I'm on Google TV itself, I couldn't see or figure out a way to get that.
I would say that that's probably going to be us talking to someone like Justin or someone on the platform team.
So how is that name calculated? Is there maybe a way I can figure it out, or is it just some random number? It can't be a random number because it's fixed for every device. So somewhere it's calculated.
My guess is that if you convert that to hex, it'd be interesting to see how that matches the MAC address.
Okay.
I don't know that that's how it's done.
Yeah.
But I would take that as my first stab at investigation. And then I'll try to ask and see if... So I have a new list I'm starting.
So, of course, the Google TV devices have multiple MAC interfaces now. So that's another interesting point. Because you have a Wi-Fi and an Ethernet.
Right. Well, see if one of them is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would do to start, is see if it's something obvious.
Yeah.
And I'll see if there's some way to find out. Okay, that was the... Let's see. Too many screens. I just meant... Make everything go black.
Now the Google TV it's an actual device like a Roku type. I mean, I don't know.
All right. One of the questions was about. I'll go to you. Jonathan, you wanted to understand what Google TV was, and
Yes.
how it compared to Roku. So why don't you give what is Google TV?
Okay, I'll take that one. So basically, Google TV, it's in the simplest case, it's Android running on a very large screen. I think the tricky question is, what is the difference between Android, in this case Ice Cream Sandwich, just running on a box that's connected to a TV, versus Google TV in this sense? And I think it's really the difference that we have made is a lot of the UI enhancements and UI optimizations. So if you just run stock Android and you display it on a TV, the user experience is not going to be optimized for things like not having a touchscreen. All the other Android devices just require a touchscreen. So from a developer's point of view, it's really more of a Android customized for a large screen and the special input devices that we have on a TV. The other big component of Google TV is, as you know, Android is basically the operating system, so to speak. And for
So
telephones,
it's almost like a computer.
yeah, for telephones you have applications like you have driving directions, you have contacts, you have your email clients and all this stuff, which on a TV doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You don't need driving directions there. So what we have done is we have created another suite of applications for television, and they do things like integrate with your channel listings, help you find content. So one of the features that we like to stress in Google TV is our global search. So when you just hit the search key and you type something TV related, we search through things like obviously the internet, but also specially indexed video content that's available from sites like Amazon or Netflix. So in this sense, that's a little bit more like what Roku does. It basically helps you discover content. Also, Google TV then allows you as a developer to hook into some of the search hooks with like search providers and so on. So it's, I would describe it, it's sort of a rounded package of Android that we think is optimized for what people want to do in their living room. And I think for developers, one of the differences is you can actually integrate deeply into the system. A Roku box, it's more you write apps and you run apps. Google TV, you have things like home screen widgets, you have search providers, you have the power of Android, which basically gives you all those APIs, and you can create apps that run on phones, on tablets, and on TVs.
That cover your question, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, we'll go to Jeff.
Well, my question is, are you guys going to have more integration between like other Google products, like maybe Google Maps, Google Earth, Hangouts?
We'd love to have that. It just takes time. Someone asked for more detailed. I don't remember if that was you, for Hangout. That requires video that isn't available on the current generation, but will be on. They'll have something in the future, the ability to do some of that. Part of the problem is privacy. So Google TV apps, we're strongly encouraging proper privacy around a TV set because it's a shared device. And so a lot of our apps don't lend themselves to privacy, so we're suggesting to folks using the web. So you can certainly run Google Maps, and you can certainly run Gmail and Calendar on a web browser. Hangouts are harder because of the TV requirement. I haven't tried doing in fact, I'm pretty sure it won't work, working with the camera input from a Logitech camera, because Logitech has integration. But I would expect to see something later this year. But
Could you put Google?
What's
Is it
that?
going to have Google Chrome? Like, is Google Chrome going to be integrated onto the device? I mean, is it
Chrome is there now.
like the web browser? The web browser, is it going to be on Google TV?
Right. The web browser on Google TV is Chrome now.
So, like, is there going to be like more? So there are going to be like hardware updates that are going to come for like the next year to improve like the, I guess, the quality of the experience, I guess.
We're going to continue to add features, and our partners are going to add features.
Yeah, I mean, it's an evolution over time, and unfortunately, consumers always want, like, you know, lots of powerful hardware for very cheap price. So there's going to be a balance between price point and performance, and the first class of hardware that we put out, it's sort of hits somewhere in between.
You can think of it as the original G1 phone was really cool, and then other people started building Android phones, and it became a huge success that it is now. But it took a little time.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Has it been, like, have you guys thought about using like a multiple user sign-in for the Google TV? So like multiple users can log into different, like have like a different home screen for like apps and stuff for every user?
Yeah, we've considered, what we'd like to see is the Android team do something, and rather than us. And part of that is that it really should be compatible, so that developers can really have one APK for all devices. But like, you know, we have some sample code that's now published, right? Maps on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want Google Maps, it's there.
So from a developer's point of view, there is different classes of devices, and some classes of devices have what we call the Google APIs. So Google TV actually has Google APIs. So if you write a Maps application against the Google Maps APIs, you can actually run that today. And yeah, as Les said, there is a sample app. If you look, I think it's called Maps on TV, and it comes with source code.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to Brian.
I was the one that had the question about the Hangouts in Google TV.
Ah, okay.
I was seeing, I think it was just from 2 days ago, someone posted up on Google Plus that he put together some sort of a hack that got a Logitech review up on his Google TV. I'm trying to find the original post, but it was some other kind of hack of Honeycomb. But it was up on a 52-inch screen. He loved it, and there was a recent article about these ambient hangouts. The holidays come up, not everyone can get together. Just leave Google Plus running with a hangout that people can come and go. Very interesting idea, whether it's for personal use or for business use. And I've got a Google TV in my bedroom. Not that I would do a hangout there, but for the one down in the exercise room, it would be fun to be exercising in my house, chatting with other people who are doing whatever they're doing as well.
Yeah, I think we'll see that. It just won't be right away. We'll see that this year, is my guess. But I don't have anything specific to announce, and how's that? That enough of a disclaimer, or was that too far? All right, anybody else with another question, or should I start reading? Okay, I'm going to read questions. Let's see. I use the Chrome browser for Google+, Mail, Calendar. Quibbles about the Sidekick-like keyboard on the Sony device aside, I don't think you need a custom app for these. Okay, well, there's a different view. Okay, and that's Marcus's response. He was also asking about Hulu. Wish we could tell you when that's going to happen. If we ever find out, we will be the first to...
Can the Android phone stream to the Google TV? Can you
Um,
stream wirelessly? An Android phone?
Who's doing that recently?
It's like
I think
AirPlay or...
Well, there's an AirPlay-like thing that somebody's hacked together. There is a
There's a Plex application.
Plex app. There is, I think somebody was saying that they had I think Leon can stream from his phone. You still there?
I was saying just doing
Yeah, able
Go
remote.
ahead.
Leon?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch the question. What was there?
He was asking about streaming from your phone to a TV.
Oh, yeah. So Enable Remote, if you've got the app installed, you can take anything on your phone and essentially beam it to your TV. Photos, videos, web links, whatever, YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
What was that called?
Able Remote, A-B-L-E, Remote.
Leon got mentioned in Geek.com's top 5 Google TV apps, I believe. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah, along with our top downloaded app, which I won't say, but it's doing very well. Okay. Someone asked about a fish tank device. Those should go all to us directly, rather than posting on Google+. But if Eric shows up, we'd be happy to talk about it. But since it is kind of known, but all right. Keep hitting the. I've got to turn those off before I leave. Okay. Daniel asks, the main problem with smart functionality of the enter return button when using the global search feature on every other platform, hitting return after typing a query search does a standard Google web search. It's programmed into our collective muscle memory. But Google TV often makes you scroll down first, past the video TV search, etc., to get to the web search. This is extremely frustrating. Can the default action of enter during the global search key please be adjustable? Also, having to hit return twice sucks.
Interesting comment for our UX guys. I know we're always trying to make search more efficient. I think the belief there was that when you use global search in a TV environment, you're more likely to be interested in movies and video relevant results.
Yeah. We are trying to have a UX hangout next week, so that would probably be the right place for that question. The other thing I noticed is Wi-Fi connection is lost. Global search simply stares blankly and does nothing. Okay. Joe has typed in wondering when we're going to open source things. Probably never for this release, for the Honeycomb-based version, just because Honeycomb's not open sourced. But I can't say that definitively, and Christian looks pained.
Yeah, I think it's a question of what GTV is, and basically the base Honeycomb. Well, it has been open sourced. So, because if you look at the Git repository for the standard Android ice cream sandwich, it's the ongoing code history, and one of those branches was used to create Honeycomb. So, as some of the Android guys have told me, if you look at all the Git labels, one of them is Honeycomb, but that effectively only gives you the base Honeycomb version. The Google TV on top of it what most people probably refer to Google TV is things like our app launcher. It's things like our home screen, the TV and movies app, the search app, and all this stuff. So those are comparable to, for example, the Google Experience applications like Maps and email and so on. And typically we don't open source those for the phones. Those are basically our value add, and they're closely tied to our APIs and our internal backends. So we're not going to, in the foreseeable future, we're not going to open source those. As Les said, once we go to Ice Cream Sandwich, it's going to be a little more straightforward, and there's going to be a more direct mapping.
Yeah. Jason asks about Google TV for in Canada. And the answer is, of course, we can't talk about future plans. But our chairman of the board, Eric Schmidt, was kind enough to say that quite a lot of them are going to be in North America this year. So I will leave it to Eric. He also was talking about worldwide, or he was pretty
I don't know what he
aggressive in his comments.
exactly said.
Just from my downloads for my app, I've noticed that there are people from just about every country on the planet who seem to have a Google TV device and are using the app. So that's just an interesting data point.
I think there is a lot of early adopters who basically figured out how to get reviews shipped across the world. I think also for developers, you can, of course, use the device anywhere. I mean, as long as you have a television, you can plug it in. You may not get the full integration. We may not be able to know your channel lineup and all that stuff. But I think a valid point from Leon is, as a developer, when you upload your app to the Android market, I encourage you to not exclude countries that just because you think Google TV is not shipping there. Like, we actually made the mistake ourselves for one of our apps. We just basically enabled it for North America, and we got a lot of requests from other parts of the world that people have heard about the apps and they couldn't download it. So there is no reason to artificially restrict it. I think North America is the only supported one where we have the full integration experience. But I think a lot of people will just have boxes, and they will use it as just Android devices, and they will use it to just basically access the internet.
Let's see. They're sort of mainly in regards to improvements or what path vision for the future of Google TV hardware. We really can't talk about what the OEMs are going to do. They're going to do something, and there should be some announcements coming soon.
Think about next week there happens to be a big conference in Las Vegas.
It's likely somebody will announce something there. Just a guess. Okay. Richard is talking about how much he likes the Roku Smart Stick and how nice a form factor it is. It is a nice form factor, but it doesn't do what we do, and they don't have the real true integration with live television that we do. You know, for finding content. It's really an adjunct, and so. Ah! There's the Hulu question. I knew that there was a Hulu question.
It only took half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. As we said earlier, we'd love to see Hulu on Google TV, and the problem is not with us. And that enough? No one wants to touch that.
is there like in regards not in regards to Hulu in general, but like in regards to like other like stations or broadcasters like ABC, Fox, you know, when you go on their websites on a computer, you have access to their videos. Is there any like ongoing conversations to have them let you access those?
Well, Fox has been really aggressive. We have a Fox Business app and a Fox News app, and so they really like to have their app. Wall Street Journal has been very aggressive. They have a cool app. Al Jazeera Television has a cool app.
So I think the shorter answer to the question though is yes. I mean we're working with all the content providers one way or the other. So I mean we want them all to be support Google TV. So it's something we're working on.
Okay, so we talked about Google TV. I doubt you can comment on this, but where is Google TV headed? It seems momentum is slowing, especially with the likes of Logitech bailing. Are we going to see ICS on Google TV? Any new partners? I don't think putting time and effort into a Google TV specific app is worth it if it's just going to die off. Well, I think
I actually don't agree with whoever posted that, because I actually think the Google TV is gaining steam from what I've seen after the Christmas holiday. A lot of new people have the device. So
I can tell you that we're very happy with what's happening. I can't obviously tell you any numbers. That's our official mantra here, is that no one except PR releases numbers. And as Christian mentioned, that CES is next week. You are likely to see some new things there. I would hope to see some new things there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big annual circus where everybody basically talks about their plans for the new year, so we can't really talk about it now. But I think Les made a really valid comparison earlier, and if you think back about the G1 device, it was not necessarily the most exciting device. It was not the most consumer-friendly device, but it was a great platform for developers to experiment with the platform and get started. And I think when I look at the Logitech box, that's pretty much where we are today. I mean, realistically, the end users are still trying to figure out what they're going to do with it, and I think it's up to us developers to create apps that people just can't live without it. I mean, when the G1 came out, nobody knew there will be something like Angry Birds, and I think for developers, the cool chance is now, and I think we still have a window for probably another year where we can really create and shape the way people will use smart televisions in the future. So I think it's interesting for people to get in now and create cool apps. So the comment about it's not worth my time, developing for Google TV if there is no real users out there, I think it's a little short-sighted, because getting in early, first of all, creating the vision, establishing your brand, it's going to help you sort of pick up new users as the platform grows. And I think what we all can say is Google has typically had a good history of not giving up early. So even though, I mean, press was sometimes a little bit negative about the review, and we all heard the stories from Logitech not really being too excited about their final sales, but I think as a platform, we're still very optimistic. And if I look at where Android has gone in the last couple of years, if we can only get really close to that, given the fact that more people have TVs than they have smartphones, this still has a huge potential.
Yeah, I mean, the smart TV platform in general is kind of heating up. I mean, it's actually a little slower in the United States than it is in a lot of other countries, and we saw the same thing with smartphones as well. So it's kind of a good time, I think, for smart TV development.
Yeah. And I think if you look at the price point, I mean, the hardware is getting continuously cheaper and easier to integrate. And in a couple of years, it's a no-brainer to put something powerful enough to run Google TV into just every hardware. There's no good reason not to.
Yeah, it's going to be substantially less for a manufacturer to do a Google TV than a smartphone. So, in terms of the value, the ad for it.
And I think short term, creating something like a standalone Logitech box that connects to a device is probably the easiest to get penetration, and it's a great developer device. But in the long run, integrating it deeply into the TV hardware is going to have the lowest incremental cost. And so I think we'll see that more and more.
And after all, Chairman Eric has said that all TVs will be Google TVs this year.
Most.
And
don't overquote it. It was most.
He said most?
Most.
Okay, someone said it to me as all, and I was like, oh, okay, wow. Hugo asked Joe, will there be an update that allows the use of tablet apps on Google TV? More direct support for developers to use their code for both TV and tablets? And the answer is you can, right now, move or download many tablet apps to your television, and it will work. In fact, if you are a developer of a tablet app, you can easily install it on a TV because you can sideload. It's up to developers to say that they do not require touchscreen. And if most apps just have that because they use the default widgets. But they have to actually put that in their manifest. And that will give you a large percentage. Now, you actually should test and check out these programs because we're not going to feature them if they aren't really good doing it. There are some little things like putting stateless drawables, like color state lists, around to indicate selected and to indicate other stuff, and that will
Optimize for D-pad.
and optimize for D-pad. But again, D-pad comes pretty much for free for most standard widgets.
Yeah, I think if you stick with the standard widgets, you're in a reasonably good shape. If you skim the widgets and you have like your own list views or something, then sometimes, or I hesitate to say frequently, but I've seen it more than I like to, people forget about things like focus states, because if you have a touch screen, you just touch something and the action happens. If you run an app and use only a D-pad to navigate, as a developer, you need to make sure you have focus states that are clearly visible. And also, sometimes the order in which those fields are chained together is not optimal for a D-pad. So things like you press cursor down, and instead of down, your focus jumps to the right or something. So I think I really encourage developers to test their apps before they make the decision, but it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's a fairly small incremental effort to do that.
And there's a lot of common mistakes. I mean, D-pad's been around forever, though, right? I mean, even
the original G1 had a D-pad.
Had a D-pad, and even the Nexus 1 had the roller ball, so trackball.
Yeah.
So
Especially for the tablets.
And tablets certainly have, if you use a Bluetooth keyboard with a zoom,
so generally the customized views that tend to be problematic if users don't look to D-pad enable them.
Yeah.
One point that I see this time and time again more recently is the not supporting Ethernet. Like a lot of apps will actually inspect for Wi-Fi or 3G connectivity, but kind of ignore that the device could actually be plugged in via Ethernet. So
Yeah, that's the very important thing. Porting or getting your tablet app to run on a Google TV is not short-circuiting that kind of behavior. Okay, so Brandon asked a question, and he's just joined us. So let's see. Can you actually talk, Brandon? Because I muted you a second ago.
Yeah, sorry, was I giving feedback or something?
It was like weird noise behind you.
Oh, sorry about that.
So
Well, yeah,
good question.
I have a, it's kind of along the same lines as the D-pad thing. I have a, I implemented the carousel render script that, I forget which developer for Google released it, but I got it from an Android developer lab, and it doesn't have any D-pad functionality built in. So I wasn't sure how to implement that on a render script type control widget.
That's actually a good sample app for us to get done. Is
Have you run across that? Yeah.
I'm thinking of someone was asking, Vibob's team was looking for samples to write. That would be a cool one for them.
Yeah.
Carousel with D-pad. No, we haven't, and we can't. No one has done that, so we can't tell you today. But we'll try and figure it out and have something. Well, we're going to try and have the UI designers next week. So certainly Leo's probably tried. And so tune in next week. Ask the same question again.
Thanks.
the two input events, at least from at the Android level, not the render script level, are going to be on-click and on-key. So, I mean, on-click is going to be your actual selection or D-pad center, which doubles for touch, and then on-key you'll want to look for left and right, up, down. So.
Yeah. You probably have to pass into render script.
Right. That'll be the trick. So.
This might be off base, but when is Google thinking about launching their first operating system-based PC? Or I know there's talk of them doing that with Linux, Ubuntu, a PC running on.
You're kind of alluding to the Chromebooks, or?
No, I'm saying a PC running with the Chrome. It uses Chrome as its backbone, but it runs on the Linux operating system.
Oh,
I just read about it the other night.
You're talking about the yeah, you can write native apps in Chrome, right?
Yeah, so I think the
it was a computer, an actual computer build, but it was
Chromebooks then. Yeah. There's Chromebooks that is a computer that's built around Chrome.
Basically a small network that when it boots up, Linux is really fairly hidden. It's really just more or less the infrastructure, but then for the user, the primary user interface is really the Chrome browser.
You can get those on Amazon.
Okay, because I just started using Chrome, and I just switched over from Internet Explorer because it sucks. So.
Yeah.
Chromium is open source, so I mean, people could put it on any number of devices. Just I don't know if it's happened yet.
But just Amazon is where you can pick one up. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
All right. Thanks.
Cool.
All right.
Any
more Google TV Android development questions?
Yeah, I've got a few more.
Hi, Matthew.
Sorry, I had moved on. Where's a good starting point to touch base with some developer resources?
Okay, well, there's two places we send you initially. One is you go to developers developers.android.com
Mhm.
and developers.google.com/TV.
Okay.
And the first one will teach you how to program Android, if you don't already know. And it can be abbreviated d.android.com. And the second one is all of our Google TV resources. We both have Android programming and web programming.
Yeah, I think for the most basic, just basically getting started with development, the Android docs is probably the best one. I think the only resource that you would need early on is the small difference how to connect your development environment to the Google TV device. So you need the ADP command.
I'd also read the 2 UX documents on our site to give you an idea of how to structure a TV app differently than a phone or tablet app.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty quick, and it's got a lot of information about user design. Expect to just read it and forget about it, then learn all your Android stuff, and then you'll come back to it, and it'll just...
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's guidelines. I mean, it's if you follow them, you're typically on the safe side. If you have a brilliant UI design that looks different than our best practices,
go for it.
Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, I browsed through some of that on the Google TV developer site, and it's very enlightening. I'll never be smart enough to be a developer, so it's kind of beyond my means. But I have some concepts. I'm really looking for some resources, some folks that are maybe already have that in their toolbox that I can bring my idea to and perhaps monetize it.
Let's see how to do that. One of the things is use Google+. Another way is send a note to gtvfishtank@google.com and say you have an idea and that you'd love to meet a developer.
Cool.
And my bet is that she'd be able to introduce you to somebody.
Excellent.
You know, it might be good to tell her a one-line summary of what you're trying to do so that she has a sense of it, and say that we sent you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure they're inundated with all kinds of inquiries, and I figured I'd just kind of pepper around at lots of different areas and see what sticks. And I'm learning as I go through the process.
Cool. And I'm Les, by the way. This is Paul, Bhavia, and Christian. Just so you have a sense.
Good meeting you all. Can't believe I didn't even know about this Google TV thing. This awesome. God.
You can also find out more about Google TV by going to google.com/TV, and it gives a user level, a lot of user level information. Okay.
Yeah, I've been a user since just about day one, so conceptually I've got it, but maybe I'm gonna spend some time at that big unnamed show next week. I know Christian's going to be doing a thing on Thursday, so maybe I'll collect some more information there.
I think I have a quick presentation somewhere.
Quick presentation?
Yeah.
You think? What, with 40 people? Okay, cool.
Thanks everybody. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we just had somebody join us, so I'm going to ask if Alexander has a question.
Hey guys, I've just got a random question for you guys about the sound pool. I found that loading MP3s on the Logitech Review, they wouldn't play back. Loading OGS worked fine though. Is that known or documented anywhere? It's a bit of a weird one I found. Could possibly be my files as well.
My guess is it's your files, but the encoder. But you'd think
Mhm.
MP3s is a pretty common format that, you know,
Yeah.
we're able to play a lot of MP3 content.
Yeah, it's worked everywhere else and then failed on the Logitech review. So, just a bit of a weird one.
Released, haven't we publicly, now that I'm talking about it publicly, we've released Google Music publicly, and it plays MP3s.
Yeah, the Media Player API works, the Soundpool API didn't for some reason.
Okay, so, got it. Anyone?
I'm surprised there are different support levels.
Yeah, that's what was confusing me. I just wondered if it was something
Of
of interest to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the manufacturers are definitely open to kind of tweaking of the owners.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some issue either with the app or with the owner.
Are you on a review or a Logitech?
Review.
Excuse me, or
The Sony. Yeah.
And this is the Logitech Media Player you're working with, or you're using?
No. This is in my own app. The
No, I see.
Yeah, the Soundpool API for some reason refused to load some MP3s, so I switched them out to OGS. It's not too much of a problem because OGS is supported everywhere else as well, so it was just a bit of a very confusing bug. I was sitting there and looking around and went, wait a second, no, the audio's working. I thought I just had the TV muted for a while.
White
What?
M3 white format issue.
Yeah, but he's not an M3U8. But, yeah, that was...
Are you using playlists at all? Or just the MP3s directly?
Just the MP3s. Yeah, they were just sound effects for a game like a 2-second explosion noise, 2-second power up, 2-second little MP3s. Yeah.
If you felt like sending a couple to me, be happy to get it to the right people to take a look. Well, we'll take a look and then get it to someone if there is.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. If you can, you know my email address.
Could probably grab it off of your Plus profile.
Possibly. It tends to be my home address from there.
Okay.
But
You might be able to catch it.
Yeah, I can ping you back later.
Send it to a group, to the Google groups, Google TV-Android at google.com.
Okay.
As long as it's not copyrighted material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not copyrighted material. All right, it is 1:53. We run short meetings here at Google.
That we've add on the notifications about the fact that you can't. Oh, so okay, great. Hooked into Toast Message, which I can't control through the notification manager API. I mean, I think it would be
notification, but you're
Sorry?
getting Toast notification along with
Yes, it looks like a Toast message that it generates. It's just I can't get to that part of the code, obviously.
So you want to hide the notification, or you just want to display the Toast notification for a longer time?
Well, users are saying they want to see it longer. So the application I have forwards caller ID information and text messages to the TV, and that's why they want to see it longer. Because it's flashing up, and before they can really read it, it's gone. So it's not a good user experience.
Leon, are you sending it to your app, or are you somehow getting it up through some other mechanism?
Yeah, I have to send it to my app because there is no way to, there's no intent possible to do a notification, so I have to kind of proxy it on the device. So either there's an API or some way to do that, but I think probably the better way of handling this is to give users an option to say if the notification shows how long it needs to display, then they can control that, for their own convenience. It's just a thought. I keep getting this from many of my users that is something that they would like to.
I think the problem is it really depends on the context of the application. So I totally think for your case where it's text messages, it makes sense for users to have it on the screen for, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds to actually read it. I think as a configurable system property, it would be a challenge to make users understand what it is and find the right balance. And also, I mean, if you, for example, change your playlist and you have like your Pandora application pop up the track name, you don't need that on screen for that long. I think what I would do for your case is, as a developer, you could just choose to not show the toast notification, not show the default toast. I believe there is an API for that. I would have to look. And instead of relying on the actual system toast, you just create an explicit toast message where, as Bobby said, you can set the long duration for your own toast.
Yeah, it gets tricky because I'm relying on a hack not to show my app, because the way the intents get sent to Google TV over the Fling message, it does a start activity, which, you know, under the normal Android lifecycle means it really starts the activity and goes through the whole lifecycle. And so I'm doing a little bit of a trick to kind of not show it and hide it and push it in the background. And if I start doing stuff like this, then it's getting more complicated. I mean, ideally, there would be a better way for me to handle those Fling intents rather than the start activity if there was some kind of a background way of doing that.
Is it not possible? Is it not possible to do that using a service?
Yes, but unfortunately, the way I'm relying on something called AnyMode, and that protocol does a start activity.
Oh,
so, yeah, ideally, I would like to have some kind of a flag to say, well, on this one, start activity, on the other one, do a broadcast, and that would be perfect. But that's not the way it works.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's another good topic for the UX guys, and I know they have been talking a lot about how to strike a compromise between being not intrusive for the users and still being noticeable. And yeah.
Leon, from like a usability perspective, so if users don't see your toast long enough, that means there's probably a lot of information in there. So
not even so. They say even for the call ID, where they should literally say, you know, here's an incoming call from that person or that number. Even for those, they seem to complain about it. It's interesting.
That's what I was going to maybe recommend, though, would be to just say, like, you have an incoming call in the toast, but then actually in the system notification put more information. Say,
yeah, actually, even for the SMS messages, I'm not even sending the message. It's literally almost like the call ID, and they're still complaining. So yeah, I've already done some kind of pruning there. It's just it's interesting that users seem to think they want to see it for longer times.
Maybe you could give your user as an option to specify that you start a dialogue instead of putting a notification up, and then they would have to dismiss the dialogue before they could go back to whatever they were doing.
Yeah, what I've heard so far, they like the idea of the notification, the way it pops up. They don't want anything more intrusive than that at the time. So it's just kind of tricky to get that experience with the limitations that are currently there. By the way, is there a shortcut for them to show the list of notifications? Or do they always have to go to home and then...
As far as we know, you always have to go to home and...
well, there's long press home.
There's long press home. And what's that do?
It brings up the little task manager.
Oh, okay, it brings up the task manager.
Oh. Okay, so this one user asked if we could just kind of like have a button that just goes, oh, here's my notification, show an eye, something like, you know. It's kind of interesting for the TV experience because, you know, on your phone you can just quickly put your finger on it and look at it, but on TV you don't have kind of the equivalent kind of action to do that.
Okay. Try long press home, and we'll have the UX people here, and it'd be good to do that. Hugo joined, so he had a question. So let's see if, okay. Hugo, can you hear us? Or do you want to type your question into it? Or I guess I can try and see if I can. Any way to use HTML5 to develop native Android apps? Yes, and I'm about to publish a tech note on that very subject using PhoneGap, also known as Apache Callback. And it works well. I've already posted some sample code. If you go to code.google.com/p/GoogleTV-Android-samples. Yes, I do remember these things off the top of my head. And it is, go to downloads, it is there. And there is a link from it from developers.google.com/TV as well. So you should be able to get to there. It's in the downloads folder. Yeah. So that's how to do that. Our friends, can I repeat the start at developers.google.com/TV. That's the easy one. And
also, one of our actions for today is actually maybe tweet or Google Plus as soon as you're done with the tech note.
Well, no, actually, we'll do the tech note tomorrow. We'll do the. We're going to talk about Panoramio, I think, this afternoon.
Okay.
And okay, we had one last question from the folks at Google TV Friends or something like that. It's always somebody. We had one last question from Google TV Friends, wherever it was, and I can't find his question, but basically it was, and Leon also asked about downloading from Market. Sometimes there's a problem, or as Leon put, a lot of the time there's a problem. Yeah, that's true. What happens is that sometimes the message from Market doesn't get back to Google TV to start the download. And we're aware of this problem, and it's being worked on, and I would hope that there's some improvement in the near future. Beyond that, Nicole just asked, is there facial recognition for Google TV? No. And someone doesn't like Google Music. And I'm going to leave it at that. So, okay. All right. Thank you all.